Good morning, everybody. Let's see, what day of the week is today? Happy Wednesday. These days all like kind of blur together. So look, as we think through what we are going to do to make your lives easier, better, and ultimately make more money, right, is provide you relevant training. Like, what's relevant training? It means what's going on right now. I think the biggest challenge agents have is this whole concept, and I think some of you have heard this, but this will be new for some of you too, is the concept of coaching backwards versus coaching forwards. And I'll explain the difference. Coaching backwards is training that you know you need to do. It's like working on your CRM. That's working backwards, right? It's like, okay, now I have my CRM. I'm signing up for a coaching program to teach me to do my CRM. Do you know what the challenge with that is? Is the market that we're in today is the most rapidly changing market, in my opinion, that's ever existed in real estate. If you think about it, we went through this whole crazy no inventory, lines out the house. And now because of the Fed, 8% inflation, which is the highest in the last 40 years, doesn't it feel like you're on a yo-yo depending on what month it is? 1 month, it's like it's going to keep going up. It's like, wait, the rates are going down, but wait, they're going up again. So you don't even know what to say to people, because if you say the wrong thing, now you're going to eat your words. So for all of us, it's really important to understand this concept of coaching forward. And it's my fundamental belief it's going to be the difference between agents that win and agents that lose. I think in the next, and this is my human and professional prediction, I think in the next 18 to 24 months, you'll see a greater turnover in this industry than has ever happened before. People are going to make businesses that they never had an idea that they could even make by doing very small things. And I know the difference, and we talked about this yesterday on our training session about the infinite game. You guys are all infinite players. You're going to think differently than everyone else. Nobody, and I'll say this again, nobody invests time into the conversations that they have with people. And that is the whole purpose of these market shift dialogues. You can do all the marketing in the world. You can do all the outreach in the world. You get the best client events. If you don't know how to talk to people effectively and fill the gap, you will be stuck. Hit yes if you've ever lost a client, been frustrated with the client, or had a challenge with the client based on the same thing that happened this year that happened last year. Every single person probably. And if you're not, you're lying. So the whole point today is to understand where you are. Submit questions, challenge us, make me work for you. I'm willing to do it. If you give me the questions, we'll answer them. So we'll be doing these sessions once a month. So the more stuff that you share with us, the more training and answers we can provide you. So here's how the partnership works. I'm going to meet you where you are, meaning you're going to tell me what your challenges are. I'm going to give you the solutions. Now, your half is you're going to take the baton and you're going to keep going, but you have to practice. Practice and consistency yield confidence. Amanda Jones, if you want more role play, just write in the thing, I want a role play partner, and have somebody connect with you. So what we're going to spend our time doing is this. We're going to go through a couple different scenarios. I'm going to explain to you how to think through this, how to approach this, and then we're going to leave this open for Q&A in the end. Does that sound fair to everybody? And then in the end, we will put in via a survey, what are your greatest challenges when speaking with clients? And you'll give it to us, and we'll know what training and stuff that we have to make to you in our own time outside of this. I find it very challenging that you go out every day not knowing where you're going to get a paycheck, and the difference is a conversation to have. And the way that we're going to do it and the way that we believed in doing it is everyone has a choice. It doesn't matter what they do. And the sooner you realize that no matter what you say, it's the other person's choice, the easier this is always going to get. Number two, it always has to be in the benefit of the client. Number three, the person asking the questions controls the conversation. Let me give you an example. Do you know how you'll share with a client days on market, list price to sales price, and then the selling price to ultimately explain the market to them? It's a very common thing, right? You're going through comps, you explain them. And those are like the three key drivers in a market. So if I said to Susie, hey, Susie, look, as you can see here, homes are selling in 10 days and buyers are paying 105% of the list price. And to live in this neighborhood, it costs $1.75 million. That's one way of saying it, correct? Now, do you want to know a more effective way of saying it? Now, remember this, when somebody answers a question, subconsciously and psychologically, they own the answer. It's very hard for people to argue with themselves, correct? And for the people that asked, well, how do I explain the market, the media versus reality? This is how you do it. So I would go to her and I'd say, hey, Susie, we're going to go through what's going on in the market. Now, this will give you an idea of what's been happening over the last 30, 60, 90 days, so you can get an idea if this is the right market for you to buy in. You notice I said, if this is the right market for you to buy in. Now, as soon as I said that, whether I know that they want to buy or not buy, I've now given them permission to say no, which makes the conversation more collaborative. Fair enough? Linda said, can I repeat what you said about who asked the questions? Oh, the person that asks the questions controls the conversation. So now I'd say to Susie, I'm going to say, okay, Susie, so days on market is, ultimately how competitive the market is. How fast, Susie, are homes selling? And I would point to the number. She would say 7 days. Okay. Now, list price to sales price is what a seller wants versus what a buyer is willing to pay. What are buyers willing to pay in this area? 105%. Wow, the homes are $1 million. You're saying buyers are paying 105. Yeah, it says 105%. Great. And ultimately, like, what does it cost to live in a neighborhood? Because those are what the properties are selling for. Oh, 1.5 million. Oh, interesting. So you're saying that homes are selling in 7 days, buyers are paying 105% or $50,000 above asking, and it costs $1.5 million to live in a home in this neighborhood? Yeah, great. Is that something you feel comfortable doing? No. Why is that? I feel that everyone's overpaying for a home. Great. I completely understand that. And if you feel that everyone that's winning a home today is overpaying, what specifically makes this the right market for you to buy a home? Isn't that a very different sounding conversation than the ones that we have every day? Hit yes if you agree with me. Now, there's one really important concept that I want you to get out of this. I didn't tell them, I didn't sell them, I never said anything. Nothing. I just asked them questions, right? I said that if it's the right market to buy, which is in their benefit. If they want to move into this area, it's in their benefit. Hey, as you said, this is what it is. I would say, Susie, do you think that home selling in 7 to 10 days makes this a competitive market? Yeah, I think it is competitive. Great. So if you understand, this is a framework which really makes this easy to follow. So if we keep going, the person asking the conversation controls, asking the questions controls the conversations. The next part to this is no telling, no explaining, no being combative. Have you ever had somebody argue with you about how delusional they are and all this other stuff? So Leslie, I can see your face, right? So let's unmute Leslie for a second. Leslie Brenowitz from DC, Maryland, DMV area. What's up? Let me unmute you.
Yeah,
So,
I had 9 clients last week that wanted to write an offer for 11% under on a house that had been on the market for 6 days in a neighborhood where there's less than a month of supply.
everyone's shaking. Okay, this is perfect, right? I like doing this in real time because it shows everyone that this is, one, very possible, and two, we're not full of shit, right? I'm not telling you anything. Like, I sold real estate. I believe I can do this anywhere on any stage. And I want to show you that anything is possible if you just follow the framework, right? So now the client says this to you. What is your response?
In my head, or?
No, what actually happened?
I told them that, these are clients that I've been talking to since 2019. So let me give a little bit of context, but they're serious now. I, I talked about the things that you mentioned, and, they pushed it and they wanted me to talk to the listing agent, and I know the listing agent, and he does tend to overprice his listings a bit. We just did a deal together. Um, I did call him and he said, "Oh, please don't write that offer. My clients will yell at me." And then I didn't tell my clients that, but I shared the general tenor of my discussion with him. And then I went to Market Watch. Is that what it's called on the Compass site? Where you can do those searches that you can have right on your homepage. I might be getting and I did a search in that zip code for single family homes for the past 30 days. And I told them what a balanced market was, 6 months of supply. And I told them what the supply was in that neighborhood, less than 1 month. And
Do you
now
see
the
the key,
property's been
do
on the
you
market
see the
for-
key words? I told them.
I told them.
You've been telling them stuff probably since 2019, right? So
I mean,
now,
you mean I
now
should
let's
have
make
heard them?
so now let's make the shift, right? What you would next time do, I want to make an offer 11% less. Great. Prior to making the thing, let's take a look at the information that's available to both us and the sellers to make sure that we're in alignment so that you could potentially win a home. I know you've been looking for a while.
And just FYI, just to say, I had shared a CMA, a very detailed CMA that I did with a recommendation of price range. So
Yeah, of course, these people don't read it. They don't care, right?
Not
They
completed.
just don't care. They're not into logic. But what you want to do is walk them down a path asking questions where they realize how stupid, wrong, and delusional they are. And I'm saying this in a very more direct way. So I'd say, great. So, let's go through this, because look, the best part is us and the sellers have access to the same data. So I would say to you, I'm like, all right, how many days are homes selling in? What is the list price? I would go through the same exact exercise. And they're going to say, this is what it costs to live in the neighborhood. You're going to say, great. So our offers here, essentially, we have a gap of blank percentage, right? And then my question would be, if this was your home and you saw this data, would you consider a house 11% less? Hear the other words, when other buyers are willing to play blank. And then you go into it. Do you think that the people winning homes, right? I would use the word winning homes today, are all overpaying? And they're going to say yes. These are very loaded questions. And you're going to say, great, I completely understand what you're saying. So what specifically makes you take your time to look at homes now, knowing that the buyers are overpaying and that you don't want to pay the same price to win a home? And as you'd said that if you own this home, you wouldn't take 11% less because other buyers are willing to pay you more. Help me write these words down. Help me understand what your thought process is, because I know your time is very valuable. That's a very different conversation, right?
Yeah.
Listen, it's amazing. You could be doing the best thing in the world for somebody with the genuine intention and love that I know you have towards them, and they're going to push back. Now, as soon as you detach yourself, say, I don't really give a shit if you buy this house or not. Sorry, I'm swearing today.
I always have to remind myself that I have someplace to live.
Yeah. But as soon as you detach yourself from this, you'll be like, wait, what do you mean? It's like takeaway closes, right? They need to hear it in their own words because subconsciously they'll process the information better. People remember that stigma of real estate comes with this person is trying to sell me. They're trying to convince me. They just want a commission. I'm like, you do realize I can make like 2 or 3%. It's not like, I've been working for free, investing my time, money, gas, resources. Like it's crazy. But if you walk people through this, the next point that I want to make to you is never be attached to the outcome. And just because they want you to compromise does not mean you have to change what you're willing to do. Kate.
Okay, Vanna White's gonna chime in for 1 second on this too. So I know not all 207 of you were on my accountability call like 2 weeks ago, but a really good point that I think that you just brought up, Leslie, is that I sent a CMA to them. I love the CMA tool, but I never will use that for when I'm trying to get my buyers to make an offer. That's when I was speaking about, that's another time where I'll make a collection for them. It allows them to view these homes as opposed to feeling super, super overwhelmed with all this data in front of them. And then it puts you back into control of being able to leave comments in the collection, a few comments, like one-liners here and there about the information that you actually want them to focus on in there. And it then allows you to control the narrative. So you're really pushing them towards arriving at basically where you want them to be, but allowing them to think that they got themselves there. So that's just another tip that I use to kind of do everything else that Chirag's saying, but also again, using a Compass tool since we're kind of in Compass tool week.
I just ask, I mean, and this is general question. I mean, do you think this works for everybody? You know, these people happen to be scientists. You know, being in DC though, I work with a lot of lawyers, you know, I mean, does it work with a doctor? Does it work with a—
Listen, it works with anyone. You want to know why? Because in the end, you're being a human being and you're asking them questions, you're asking their thoughts, and based on their thoughts, you're giving them information. This is what you're doing in following this philosophy is just controlling the conversation, using actual psychology in your benefit, and you're not vomiting information on them. Just remember this, what other, you know, you ever talk to somebody in a dialogue, and this is what we call this market shift dialogues. Hey, this is what the market is, and this is what's going, and everything else like that. Remember, in anything, you need to make somebody the enemy. And if someone else isn't the enemy, it's you, right? Protagonist, antagonist. So as soon as you start going against what they want, you're the antagonist. Do you know who the enemy is? Oh my God, like these prices are crazy. Oh, I completely understand. What other buyers are willing to pay for homes is insane. So what makes this the right time for you to buy, knowing that this is what other people are willing to do? Done. And then they're forced to answer. It's like in chess, it's like check. This literally, like, it's so simple. And I'll tell you all a quick story about an actual transaction I did last year. I had a client that I sold multiple houses for, and this house flooded 4 years ago and it sat vacant. I sold 3 other houses for her past that. I had no idea the taxes were $30,000. Her name is Heidi. Heidi calls me up. Hey, Shah, what's going on? I want to sell this house. How are you doing? I have a coaching business. I no longer live in Westchester County. I live in Westport, Connecticut. Long story short, she goes, I go, I can't sell your house. I can't service it. And she goes, oh, okay. She goes, do you have a license? I go, yeah, I have a license. She goes, then you're a liar. I'm like, what? She goes, you promised me you'd sell my house. Okay, fine. So the market's really high. And I go, okay, fine. If we could start at this number, we could do this number because you always want more and you always come down. She's like, give me the 3 weeks you always give me. No problem. 3 weeks, you bring the numbers down. I bid the price up to no mortgage contingencies, up to where her original egregious price was. But now I have 2 very ethnic buyers. They're 2 very strong negotiators and have very strict moral things. So the nice group of people that I had were represented by another agent that I knew. And since they overpaid, waived all their contingencies, and I got them to put the 20% down, I really held them to the barrel to get her good terms. They go back in. She did shoddy construction. Some of the floorboards are warped. They took it and got some crazy estimate to replace the whole entire thing. This lady was so upset, she got in her car and drove from Delaware down here to look at these things. Mind you, this lady has so much money, she was trying to convince me to lend money to another doctor, hard money, to buy her house, and I'd sell the other house and buy it. She was crazy. This woman drives all the way down here. And then because she felt they're violating her principles, do you know what she did? She ripped all the floors out of the house, put bamboo floors down, didn't show them a single thing, and then told me, you need to now go back and get $20,000 extra from these people because the property's in contract. Or I'm going to cancel the contract. I said, well, their liabilities and stuff. I said, look, if that's what you want to do, no problem. I go back to the other agent. I said, hey, I have good news for you. They replaced the floors, bamboo floors, but based on your egregious estimate, she feels that $20,000 is just because now they're all bamboo and those were laminate. The lady screams at me, curses me off. I said, okay, sure, no problem. I go back to my client. I go, they're not going to pay you the money. She goes, okay, so cancel the deal. Okay, no problem. I called the other agent up. I said, I understand it's your brother-in-law and everything, and I'm really sorry. Since you don't want to give the money, I'm going to have to cancel the transaction. And I know it puts him in a really bad place, but she's not going to sell him the house. And I was just quiet. And I'm like, 3, 2, 1, the lady gave $20,000 of her commission. It's done. There's her brother-in-law. But if I engaged any of these people in this thing at any point, it would have never worked. She's like, how can you not care? I was like, it's not my job. You can convince your client. My client has her mind made up. She's an adult. This is what she wants to do. My job is a facilitator. I went through the entire scenario of what canceling the contract would mean, what starting over would mean. And you know what she said to me? She goes, I'll pay your commission twice, but I'm not getting robbed by these people. Okay, no problem. Mind you, I was going to give half of my commission in just so I didn't have to deal with this lady anymore because I didn't want to sell the house in the first place. So all of these things, I shared this story with you, is all this stuff works only if you practice doing it. There's only so many different scenarios that you deal with every day. How many different scenarios really are there? Think about this. You're dealing with the media, you're dealing with rising interest rates, and you're dealing with people that don't want to pay attention to reality. It's really easy. How many people get buyers out there now that says, I'm not paying these prices? A lot, probably. And in the end, that's great. If you're not paying these prices, what specifically wants to make you buy a home right now? And you just keep going through that. Butch, where's Butch? Butch owes us something good today.
Oh, no, I just was going to share because a great thing right now, all buyers want to start low. And I'm just saying, hey, we'll give it a shot. We know this is low. We never know why people are selling. Let's test it. And that kind of helps them through taking that low offer. Then you go, okay, great. They didn't accept it. Now do you want to go win the house? So you can always say like, sure, let's test it. But you know the number's low. And the buyers know that their numbers are low. They know. But you're like, hey, I'll totally go for it because you never know why people are selling. So I just wanted to add that as another kind of helpful tool. If, you know, you're making offers and you know you're going to be low, you just tell your client like, hey, who knows, this might work, but you know, at least we'll find out where the bottom is or where they won't sell it.
Exactly. And to Butch's point, some people just want to try. And that's fine. You know, you'd ask him the question, if you were looking at this and this was your home, would you still accept less? No, but so is this something you want to try? Yes. And great. If they don't accept it, what's your plan B? Right. And everyone write this question down. It works really well with buyers. I would say to Kate, hey, Kate, I know you shared blank, 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 all your motivations. And I see you want to make offers 5 to 10% less than what other buyers are willing to pay for homes. What is your plan B if no one is willing to accept these type of offers for you, as I have not seen any in the data over the last 2 years? What is your plan B?
Don't really have one. Thanks for bringing up that great point that I'm going to be homeless in 2 months when my lease is up.
Bingo. But this all goes back to confidence, right? Remember we went into Business Tracker, we talked about people's confidence levels. This is where these conversations come in handy.
I think that's also a really good point. Confidence was, and we can go into some of the questions that people did ask, but eventually, but a lot of the questions that you guys were asking was like, how do I have confidence? And I think that that's really the key. And I will tell people this all the time, like something just as simple as like the tone at the end of one of your statements. It's like, if you're ending it sounding like a question and you're not confident, how the hell are any of these people going to believe what you're saying? So it's like, to Butch's point, to everybody else's point, like I'll do the same thing. Great. I think that's such a fabulous idea. Let's go in the collection. You want to go 10% under? Awesome. Let's go into the collection. Let's go find the other houses that accepted 10% under. Oh my God, there aren't any? Oh my God. And I'll sit there and I act like an idiot for a second. And then they're like, oh, okay. So just guide them all to this point, but you have to be super, super confident in your answers when you are trying to guide them to that place.
Yep. Look, it's like always be in agreement with the client. You can't argue with these people. You're not going to win anything.
No.
And just remember, you are the most expendable person in the transaction. And that's not, and here's the thing I want to be very clear with everyone about. There's a difference between agreeing with people and not having any boundaries. Like if you can't get them to a place that, so if I went through this with all of you and Kate was my buyer and I was like, look, this is what other buyers are willing to pay for homes. Why, what specifically makes this the right market? That's how you feel and everything else. And you can't come to an agreement like, you know what, that's fine. I just want to go look at houses still. You need to say, no, I'm sorry, I can't help you. And they're going to say, what do you mean? I'm going to say, in my heart, I don't want you to invest time into something that I know based on data and you yourself wouldn't even accept an offer like this and bring you to house. There are plenty of agents that won't be honest and tell you this. They'll just tour you around. You have to be willing to walk away. There is Jennifer has a question. Jennifer De Silva.
Yes, hi. Thanks for that. I was wondering if you have any advice for when you're in a vacation home market and you're not going to be homeless tomorrow. It's a toy, right? It's a luxury purchase, whether or not you buy and your buyer still doesn't really understand the market or is willing to try to get quote unquote deals when there aren't deals at the moment. I had someone last week make a lowball offer on a house that he lost because he thought he didn't want to pay 300 below asking, and someone came in and took the house. So wondering, you're talking more about primary locations, right? Where people have to leave, the leases up, that kind of thing. I'm wondering if you have any advice, experience, nuggets for when it's a totally optional purchase.
Well, listen, here's the thing. As much as they make it seem like it's optional, if you have a bunch of money, you want a vacation home, you want what you want, right? Like, so don't let them fool you with that. Because for some people it's status, some people it's lifestyle, whatever it is. Oh, all my friends have homes there, but I don't really need to buy a home. Yeah, you do. You just don't want to tell me that, right? So just understanding why they want this home and going back with the numbers. Look, this is what people are taking. This is what other buyers are willing to pay for homes. Are you willing to purchase a home within these prices? No. Great. So then what specifically makes you look for a home? I don't know. I just want to try. I think the market's changing. Rates are going up. People are going to be doing this. Great. I totally understand. So let me go back the last 6 to 12 months and I would go through it, put the numbers together. Hey, what did this home sell for? Hey, what did this home for? I would get them to say it. And I would say, if this was your home and you were seeing these numbers, would you accept an offer blank less or even consider it? And they're going to say no. So then I would say, why would someone consider yours? So look, before you invest too much time into this, let's just realign on expectations. This is what other buyers are willing to pay for homes. This is what it takes to win a home. Is this something you want to get involved in right now? Or is it okay if you don't buy it all, since you said it's optional?
Right.
Same framework.
Okay, thanks.
Right. And look, what is sold is most 30 days old since they went to escrow. Now buyers are seeing price drops in current markets. Look, that's true. But in a lot of these other houses too, when the house sold is when it went into contract, right? Not the day that it closed. The day it went into contract is the market that it sold in. So you can start factoring some price drops in, but the ones that people are sharing are these massive 10 to 15% undercuts. The market has not changed that much. And the other thing to look at in terms of price drops is days on market. If a house is going into contract in 10 days and now it's up to 25, 30, you know there is more negotiation. If the days on market is relatively consistent, you know the market's still stable. It's a big factor. So before we go through anything more, I don't want to overwhelm everyone with so much information that nobody walks away with anything. So just remember, your goal in this is, number one, to identify all of these scenarios that you deal with. They never change. Could you imagine for the people that had kids, your kids took the same test every year and got the same question wrong? You'd be like, dude, 2 + 2 is 4. Why do you keep writing 22? But here's the thing. No one ever taught us to think like this. No one ever said, hey, let's categorize all the things that we deal with all the time, and then figure out how to practice them one by one to mastery. So over a stipulated period of time, whether it's 12 months, 24 months, we master all of these. Then for the rest of our lives, we own it like riding a bicycle. Like, look, I see Julie O'Malley here. She comes back. She's been here for like 2 years, literally, right? And she does not miss a day. But yet she comes back and she practices and she practices and she practices and practices. So let's remember that our collaborative learning together is our most powerful tool as a community and group. So start sharing your scenarios. We will collect all of them, and then we as a team can do good stuff with them for you. And start prioritizing, start recording small video clips. We actually have a job. If anyone knows someone cool that wants to follow us around all day, me most of the time, for a full-time content creator role, being able to create more valuable videos, information, content, something that's very important to us. So where do we share scenarios? We're going to put something in the, one of those poll things that pop up right now, share your scenarios. And we'll do that. Somebody else had their hand up.
I think Heather did.
Heather
Lipman. Do you want to share?
I was just gonna ask, I was just writing something down and I like what you said when you were dealing with the media, the rising interest rates. And you said something about how you said it about the clients. And I didn't remember what you said, because you said a lot of things.
We'll go back and review the recording and kind of synthesize. Our team will break down some of the notes, like we'll transcribe it. And
Yeah, I wrote that down. I was gonna re-listen to it, yeah, because it's a lot of good stuff. Yeah.
Listen, we're going to take this and dissect this and make it into something more digestible. But look, we're doing this together. We're all in this journey together. No one is going through something different. And in real estate, we all live the same lives in different zip codes. It's really simple. Lean on each other. Practice more. Remember, 5 minutes of practice 300 times a year is 25 hours. Do you think many agents are spending 25 hours practicing anything? I'll tell you what they're practicing, hitting that story circle on Instagram. That's what they're clicking. That's it, I'm telling you. Is there a formula for market penetration to show how much inventory is on the market to show the numbers to the clients? All right, Dina, you're our next contestant. Come on down. Elaborate on your question.
I just saw her in the office, so she couldn't have gone too far.
Jesus,
I'm home. So anyway, I know in the past I've seen like a formula that shows, how inventory is left on the market by you could go the past 30 days, the past 6 days, the past year, and to show how much inventory is left. And I know it's a certain percentage, either a good market for a buyer or a bad market for a seller.
Unfortunately, you're cutting out, so I can't understand what you're saying. All right, so you can put your details in the chat and we'll get to your answer. So here's where we're going to leave this. Absorption rate formulas, those you can Google and get a very simple answer to absorption rate formulas. But again, as you start getting into absorption rate and all this other stuff, keep in mind, how well can you explain this? Please make sure to practice it. Please make sure to do it in a way that you're not dictating and talking at somebody the entire time, right? So there's a lot of different ways. Susan mentioned Market Watch in the Compass platform can help with that. And obviously, as we go through Compass tool one by one, we will get to doing that as well. So we're going to put up the poll of what are your scenarios so that we can start cataloging these things. Write as many challenges as you have in here. Right? So think about it. We should be able to get 100+ different scenarios. And then we can actually start thinking about this strategically, because we can organize this and start sharing it with you. And then you could say, wow, like I saw this. I didn't think about this. I do deal with this all the time. And the goal is to take one scenario and get it to mastery. in an elevator pitch, what's the best way to sum up in a market? I don't really know if there's an elevator pitch necessarily to do that, because a market is based on data, but to a person, it's based on perception. So if their perception is it's one way, you have to use data then to influence them to another way, which means you have to ask them questions to get them to get to their own conclusion the same way.
If I can tack on the end to that, I also, as much as you guys know, I'm like such a data person. I also feel like when you give them such hard facts, sometimes you're also, that's a really good example to me of like owning the market. And in such a volatile market, when the data is shifting every single day, I would just be cautious that whatever you tell somebody 1 week, in 2 weeks, if that's changed a lot, then they can always go back and say, oh, but you said, and then they use it against you. So I would say, like, again, try to lead them to their own perception of the market, just like what Chirag's saying, then really owning one specific absorption rate number or market watch number, whatever it is. Just be cautious of that as well.
There it is. So do you want to put up the survey, Chrissy?
Give me just a second. It's giving me a issue right now. So I got Andrew coming back on.
We are currently experiencing technical difficulties. We'll be back with you shortly.
We don't have an elevator pitch. We can get elevator music for you guys.
I could get the Jeopardy music. This actually literally happened when I got married, and my cousin lost what he was going to say, and they're trying to go on the internet and no one could find anything. And, you know, luckily I know how to talk to people. I said, we're currently experiencing technical difficulties. We'll be back with you shortly.
Okay, that's
They're coming with
hilarious.
Jeopardy music. Oh, look,
If you don't have it, maybe we could just email you guys the poll afterwards too.
maybe Kate, you could just whip it up into a Google.
Whip it up into a Google form.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. So Kate will get a Google form for the 173 people that are here. We appreciate your patience. And this way we'll just get this to you so you can provide us an answer. So we could work to more proactively provide you answers as well. I'm literally, if you haven't realized this, I'm obsessed with this whole coaching forward concept. Because as soon as I figured this out, I was like, wow, all this coaching is like a scam almost, right? They're always going backwards. But what about the people that need stuff today, right? Because having money is a real thing. Like, people need money for their kids. People need money to pay their bills. People need money for their business. And if we're not able to provide that information as a company, like, what are we really doing? The only way to show that you really care is to be able to meet somebody where they are. And that is the beauty of this whole playbook program. And it's never going to end. All we're doing is listening more and more to what you want, and then updating our programs and context of what we're saying to give you exactly what you need. But we need you guys to share as well. We have a whole great program plan. But the nice part about what we do is how fluid our team is and how willing we are to invest the time into changing. Nate, it's not answering that the market is always changing, right? You can't give an elevator pitch, in my opinion, to anyone of not understanding what their perception of the market is, right? So you could say my perception of the market is over the last 30, 60, 90 days, blank has happened. The days on market in this neighborhood have gone up by this much, what buyers are willing to pay have changed by this much, and ultimately the sales price has changed by this much. What we're noticing is homes over the last 30 days would go into contract after this many days. And now we're seeing that homes in that many days are still in the market, which means it's going a little more towards the buyer's market, right? So that's how I would start actually talking through the data.
Save the data for like a specific property rather than like a market as a whole. I've been seeing also a lot of people putting like the median prices for like an entire region. That is not exactly what I would be doing, if I'm going to be honest, because now you're owning something for an entire region, where things like in Westchester, something median price could be 2.7 million one place and 500,000 in the other place. So save like specific numbers and like your knowledge, your market knowledge for a specific property, rather than trying to own an entire market region is also one more thing.
All right. You have the form, Kate?
I didn't make, can I email it to people? Because it's going to take me a few minutes to make it.
Okay. So we will email this form out to everybody. Everyone that registered for this, you'll get a follow-up email with this. over the next week, we'll digest this all into our platform. And look, going forward, we're going to have another one next month, right? So these things are not going to end. They're going to keep going because the market just keeps changing. And I want to make sure that we're the only group as of now, I'm sure other people hopefully will do this too, that will keep providing you this kind of information. And that is our ongoing commitment to you as the playbook, because it's never going to end. You're never going to learn everything in 6 months. Think about how many years it's taken you to get to where you are today. And think about how much more time you have to put into practice and be strategic and continue to grow. So thank you all for coming. Thank you, Vanna, for always being a great assistant. It's Kate's new nickname.
Anytime.
And we will see you all on Monday.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.